Now I'm going to show you an example that we get all of the time. So we have a lot of clients from Australia, US, Canada who only speak English, and many of them even speak a very standard form of English. Well, as we saw before, one of the big problems with everybody taking the exam is that a lot of people just don't know what to expect in the exam, and of course, they don't know what the examiner is looking for. So here is an example of exactly this. So we saw in part 1, when we looked at the procedures, that those are often personal questions or newspaper questions. Now, speaking of newspaper question, here's a very common question type. What is your favorite sport? So we have the examiner here asking someone, what is your favorite sport? And the candidate says soccer. And now the examiner is waiting because he needs language from the candidate in order to score the candidate. So in order to assess the candidate on that grid that we saw. However, if the candidate doesn't give him any language to use for the examiner to assess, well, that candidate, regardless of if the candidate is Australian or Canadian or a news reporter for the CBC, well, that candidate will not get the score that they could simply because they don't know what the exam is like and they don't know what the examiner is looking for. So we see this all of the time where people really have the potential to move up in their score, except they don't, just because they don't understand what the examiner is looking for. So we're going to, of course, we're working through that process right now, and I would say we're about halfway there. For all the people watching the video series, I think you really understand now the procedure that you're going to go through, which of course reduces your exam anxiety, and of course what the examiner is looking for. Now, of course, we're focusing on strategizing so that we can really impress the examiner and really get an awesome score.